struck me was a piece called Ubuntu. And Desmond Tutu wrote about this piece. He wrote about the word Ubuntu. And Ubuntu means that a person is a person because of other people. We don't live in isolation. And I thought that sort of was fitting for this evening where we are singing together, but everything that we do affects another place. And I was teaching the students when we were learning this in 5th and 6th grade course that this small place, Pawtucket, can be touching the whole world. And the things that we're doing here tonight are rescuing the world maybe just for one person at a time, but how that whole universe changes. So what we're doing here tonight is sharing Ubuntu. We're existing because of you, and we thank you for that. And in return, we're hoping to change the world for somebody else. So this piece is called Ubuntu. And so a person is a person by and because of other people.
I'd like to thank Senor Kamen and Mr. Gibbs for helping me set up the floor today. So please give them a little round of applause. And Mr. Brown for all his help at Lakewood School. So please give Mr. Brown. When I started working on Breaking the Chain, a friend of ours, Debbie, said, "You know what, you've got to meet my bellman." And I'm like, okay. And you don't understand. He sends all these things over to Ghana. And he's from Ghana. He's actually become a close friend of mine, one of the most amazing people I've ever met. And I'd like to introduce you to Manuel Saki. He sends over 4 to 6 40-foot shipping crates of donations from America to Ghana, and he distributes them. He's built a school and a hospital. He's just an amazing individual, and I'm proud to say a friend of mine, though I can't find him at the moment. So, Baba, wherever you are, come on up. Baba.
Start after listening to that music. I love the lyrics very much. Who am I because of you, and you are who you are because of me. Something is telling us that we are all interconnected. We are all interconnected in a lot of ways, and I think it is our responsibility to use that talent and use that resources for us to change the world. I have known Evan for some time, and I think this is my 4th or 5th time of coming to Itachi to support Breaking the Chains anytime they have an event. And I love this organization because they get to the root of things, and then whatever resources they get, they use it for the very cause that they are asking you to donate for. So once again, I will just plead with everybody over here to just consider that, think about what is happening around the world. I mean, on my way here, I was listening to the news, and they were talking about this boy from Ghana who had a chance to come to America, and who applied to all the Ivy League schools, and then he's got acceptance to all of them. And I was asking myself, how many of these kids around the world are so intelligent, they are clever, but they will leave this world without even trying to use 1% of the God-given talents that they have. And you and I are here to help these people live to their dreams. To me, I think I've said it before, and I do believe that every one of us here has a duty to do in this world. And part of our duty, it doesn't matter what we come here to do, should be something that should affect the world in which we live in. Somebody once told me in some area of China, it is a requirement for everybody to plant a tree. You plant a tree so that when you are not on the scene, people will look at that tree and remember you for what you did to this world. We may not be planting trees, sitting down here in this auditorium in Mitachi, but we are going to touch lives thousands of miles away. And I'm here to tell you that because of your support, a child, a slave, who is going to lose his eyesight because he's supposed to dive into deep waters at the age of 6, think about it. Or somebody who is just taken from his parents and had to perform duties meant for, let's say, a 25-year-old person, and then you see a little child of, let's say, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years doing it. It's heart-wrenching. I mean, it breaks heart. There's one thing to talk about it, and there's another thing to do something about it. And I'm happy to join all of you here that this year we are going to do something about it. And by next year, on this brochure, we're going to see the number increasing and people getting liberated and talents being found from all over the place just because we did something. So I thank you very much for coming and do your best. I thank you for changing the world, and we keep on breaking the chain. One chain at a time, one person at a time, one community at a time. I think we can all make it. So thank you very much for everything.
At this point, I'm going to ask for Mr. Paragalams to Caputo come up and say a couple of words, please. Mr. Caputo is the superintendent of Metuchen Schools, and Mr. Paragallo is the principal of Metuchen High School.
Thank you, Evan. And I again want to welcome all of you to Metuchen High School for really this outstanding event. I think the thing that certainly I have a lot of pride in is the number of students that are involved in the program at the high school and how it's grown from one year to the next. And we graduate a group of seniors and our freshmen pick up the slack. And when they leave, we have another group that steps up. So that to me is extremely important because it truly means that the program is important. The other thing that is truly amazing to me is the fact that we've grown not just at the high school, but we now have a club at Edgar. And I think that speaks volumes for the message that's being sent by Mr. Robbins and by our high school students to our Edgar students. And I want to welcome them to the high school here tonight, because it is really outstanding that you're here and that you've focused on something that's so important and something that you'll continue to work on as you move from middle school to high school. So I want to commend you for being here, and I want to ask that you keep up your hard work. To the members of the public school, to the Metuchen Public Schools, I did see some of our teachers from Campbell, from Edgar, and certainly from the high school in the audience. I want to thank you for all of your support and for all that you do to promote this outstanding project. And lastly, again, to Mr. Robbins for all of his hard work. I often say that whenever he comes in my office, I hide under my desk because God only knows what he's going to ask for, but it's usually something very good. And I'm happy he's here. And again, I'm happy that we're having another outstanding year. Thank you very much. And I'd like Mr. Caputo to now take the mic.
Thank you. Thanks for being here this evening, for attending this great event tonight. I'm honored to be invited to say a few words tonight. I'm also quite humbled to be among such an impressive group of people as we have before us tonight. First and foremost, we honor the work of our Metuchen students who, through their club, Breaking the Chain to Education, are really and truly making a difference in the lives of others. I know that by the end of tonight's program, you will absolutely agree with me that these students possess amazing talents and their potential for future greatness is limitless. It's often said that we actually have here tonight the next generation of global leaders. And there is always room for great leadership. Thank goodness we'll be in good hands for the upcoming decades. I'd be remiss if I did not recognize several distinguished guests here tonight. We have members of the Metuchen Board of Education, Town Council, and from the immediate and surrounding communities. Mr. Robbins has often expressed to me how grateful he is for your support. With my time in front of you this evening, I've elected to say a few words about the founder and CEO of Breaking the Chain to Education. Evan Robbins is rarely at a loss for words. However, when it comes to breaking the chain, Mr. Robbins consistently deflects attention and praise onto his students. And rightly so. This frequently honored worldwide nonprofit organization began as a collaborative effort among students and Mr. Robbins. Mr. Robbins regularly encourages, he actually insists that his students take an active decision-making role in the direction of this group. A high school club certainly has made it to the big time. As I thought about tonight's program, I could not help but think about the characteristics of Mr. Robbins. 3 descriptive words kept coming to mind: tireless, selfless, compassionate. Each and every one of us probably would love to describe ourselves with adjectives like that. From my perspective, Mr. Robbins truly is tireless, selfless, and compassionate. I often joke with Mr. Robbins and laugh about the number of commitments he fits into each day. Do his days last longer than hours? Does he somehow have more than 24 hours to accomplish everything he does? No, of course not. It just seems like it. What he does, however, is prioritize what is important to him. He makes time for these priorities, and he uses his hours and minutes and seconds as effectively as anyone I know. I don't know if he sleeps. I do know, however, that he is tireless. Mr. Robbins, secondly, is selfless. As I described before, whenever he can, he deflects deserving praise onto others. He is genuinely happy for the attention that others can receive. Consider something else. Mr. Robbins is as successful an entrepreneur as any multi-million-dollar tycoon could be. He can raise funds like the best of politicians. He can attract media attention like the biggest Hollywood celebrity. He doesn't do these things for himself, however. His endeavors don't line his pockets or contribute to his family's financial future. He takes on all these challenges for a singular purpose: to make the lives of children in Ghana far, far better than they would be without him. Finally, Mr. Robbins is compassionate. Compassion is defined as the deep feeling of sharing the suffering of another, together with the inclination to give aid or support to show mercy. Most of us qualify for the first part of that definition. It's not hard to feel deeply for others, even to share in their suffering. For many of us, the feeling may end there, or we might write a check for someone else to give the aid and show the mercy. Well, again, thank goodness for the compassion of Mr. Robbins. As long as he carries the torch, we will continue to live in a compassionate and merciful world. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Congratulations to Evan Robbins. Great for the change.
Try Switch on summer from a slot machine. Get what you want if you want, 'cause you can do anything, yeah. I know we've come a long way, we're changing day to day. But tell me, where did the children play? Well, you roll on road over fresh green grass for your lorry loads, pumping petrol gas, and you make them long, and you make them tight, and they just go on and on, and it seems like you can't get off. Oh, I know we've come a long way, we're changing day to day. But tell me, where do the children play? When you crack the sky, scrapers fill the air. Will you keep on building high till there's no more room up there? Will you make us laugh? Will you make us cry? Will you tell us when to live? Will you tell us when to die? You know we're coming away, a change of day. So tell me, where do the children play? Well, I think it's fine building jumbo planes, taking a ride on a cosmic train. Switch on the summer from a slot machine. Or do anything you want, 'cause you can do anything, yeah. I know we've come a long way, we're changing day to day. But tell me, where do the children play? We roll on roads over fresh green grass for your lorry loads, pumping petrol gas. Oh, you make them long, and you make them tight, but they just go on and on, and it seems you can't get off. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know we're coming away, we're changing day to day. So tell me, where did the children play?
I just got this email today and I'm so excited. We're now working with two organizations. One is Right to Be Free, the other is IOM, who we worked for years. And we have now this month with them, we're funding for half of this. And we're rescuing 10 more children. They're rescuing 20 in total. They rescued 15. And if you scroll down, Melissa, I'm going to get to show you the pictures that we just rescued, some of them 2 days ago. This is the first group that was rescued. The 3 girls and 12 boys were rescued. Aren't they beautiful? Scroll down, please. This is Eric, who's the head of Right to Be Free, and 4 more children that he rescued. On another trip, he rescued these 4. On one trip, he was only able to rescue Mamuko, and he was only 1 boy on one trip. And this is the last group of 3. Eric, Elijah, and David. There's actually kind of no better feeling than getting these emails and knowing that you played a role in rescuing these children. We sent over $43,000. Well, we have all 43. We paid sent 25, and this is helping us to raise the other 18 we need to do these rescues. On Friday, we've launched our new website, and I encourage you all to visit it. It's Breaking the Chain Through Education, or you can just do the first letter of each word, btcte.org. And we got a grant from an organization called the Good People Fund, who provided us the funding to hire a web builder to build this website. And it's just kind of a sign of how far we've come. We have tweets and Instagrams, I'm not quite sure what they are, but Jamie can tell you. And, you know, I know on the Facebook, it's a lot of work for a lot of people that help me to do all that we do. We're working on the bottom, on that left side, but that, if we go back a second, just go back on that arrow, right? We're working on a documentary, and we're hoping to make a documentary this summer from a group from Hollywood, go out to Ghana and to shoot a movie for a few weeks. That's our movie poster. And, you know, all goes well, and we get permission from the government, and we raise the money, and everything goes well. We're going to be making a documentary that we have high hopes for. And if everything goes well, you know, maybe you'll be able to see on HBO one day. We don't know. But that's the long-term goal, and we'll see where it goes. Well, one of the things my friends from Ghana and Baba have taught me is to try to have faith that things will work out, and they generally do. At this point, I'd just like to call up our slam poets. These are 4 students at the high school who wrote poetry for this evening.
I have a choice. To belong, to give myself to a family, a spouse, friends, but I don't belong. I don't belong to anyone. Because anything less than free is a sin, but when we think slavery, we don't think 2014, we think the pre-Civil War era. We don't think fishing boats, but rather southern plantations. We say, hell, that was a long time ago, we moved on. When we think slavery, we look to history textbooks. Since lives are being sold from our homes, this practice doesn't exist. But what if I told you we are turning back time? What we thought to be the past is the present. In the future, if we don't take a stand, we become slaves to our own ignorance. Would you take a stand? And what if I told you there are children today living only on the beat their heart provides and not much more? Would you take a stand? Chewed to spit out, can you swallow this? Being used, being abused, told they are worthless, yet sold for worth. Here in this room, innocence can be a wonderful thing. Sheltering our minds, keeping us safe, but we become victims of naivete, choosing not to recognize the real victims of slavery. Thank you.
Is this what it's like to take me from a nightmare and realize a dream? A contrast so deep, like the dive I used to take into the river or the sea. To break free from that constantly coarse stream. I was never encouraged to dream, or play games, or break into teams. But there was only the fish, the nets, the streams. Education is the relief of my body. Education is the nirvana of my mind. I go to school now because it is my right. Was I not allowed to be a child? Master. I will never call anyone master again. But teacher is a new name of the one who teaches me not to sink or to tangle me in waters black and blue that make my arms, my legs black and blue. No, I have friends, schoolmates. I'm told I belong here, amongst words that release thoughts, equations that form a link that makes sense. For once, a chain that makes sense. When we're outside playing, a link, arm to arm to arm, and dancing feet jump up and down. I'm in my school uniform. This new chain, this beautiful link, friend, schoolmate, teacher, educate, possibility, future, a chance, connects me to the world. Here it is. I belong. I deserve this food. I deserve this freedom, this book, as it opens up, like the mouth of a wave crashing on the side of a fishing boat.
A collection of flecked pigments, the pupil opening and closing like a camera lens, capturing the sum of human experience. This is an eye. A brown marble shifting back and forth, anxious with excitement, conveying each wild pendulum swing of emotion and energy with brightness. Revealing the dresser drawer contents of a happy childhood, bright summer dresses, wrapped Christmas presents, snowy freefall on a sled, ice cream. These are my sister's eyes. A dark mirror. The attention focused, a nervous energy. Trust is building, but it is hard to repair, scorched ruins. Scattershot anger for the reformers whose words, printed on globe and olive branch letterhead, rang hollow. For the leaders who hid behind palaces and guns. For the militants whose drums signaled chaos, death, and wandering in the dust of the afternoon. And for the bosses who drive them like pack animals in the impossible heat of summer. A well of tears for the parents who loved them but couldn't protect them, and the friends whose eyes no longer shine. These are the eyes of a Ghanaian child, of wisdom, of Kojo, of Abigail, of Bernice, and of so many others, but they retain just a shade of hope.
There is a boat called Dignity. It's a good vessel that keeps the water out and holds a lot of fish. But how can a boat be called Dignity when it keeps a boy, no more than 10, pulled away from his mother like a fish from the sea, in a net like the one on Dignity? A little boy with bare feet and a bare mind, because Dignity is not called for school. No lesson except for the one that society teaches. No books for the workers of dignity, and fish do not feed the mind. In a boat called Dignity, a little boy dreams of lessons not taught by dignity, of a world not on water, and meat that is on fish. But there is no school on dignity, no place for freedom's poet to soar above the earth, like the eagle and the dove, no place for the prophet that lost his way to Zion. He is King David without his lute, but he was drilled to believe that dignity is the only ruler. No wisdom on this boat called Dignity, no knowledge or thought to fill the dry heat with the promise of rain. Rain would sink this boat called Dignity. But Dignity has seen too much water, and fire does not lighten dignity. So the boy sails in the dark on this boat called Dignity.
I saw an article in the New York Times on Sunday morning. My daughter had been sick the night before. And it's a story of a child slave and Don. His name was Mark Quadwell. And I looked at his life. He worked 16, 18 hours a day sometimes. He lived on the mud floor. He dove into the water in life-threatening work and compared it to my daughter's privileged middle-class American life. The difference between the two really struck me.
Hi, I'm Mike Hyman. I'm Jesse Steer. I'm Matt Shaw.
Hi, I'm Chris Condon. This is a film about the child trafficking problem in Ghana, specifically around the Lake Volta region of Ghana.
And the progress that breaking the chain through education has created. Children are being sold by their parents to fishermen who use them as free labor. The
The root of the problem is poverty and desperation. There isn't much of an economy in the area, and so most people can barely afford to care for their children, much less send them to school.
So a man comes along and tells you, hey, I'm going to take your child, I'll send him to school, I'll feed him every day, I'll give you money, and he'll do a little fishing on the side.
However, what actually happens to the children is a different story.
They don't go to school. They barely get fed.
Many are beaten and abused.
That's not supposed to happen. What's happening?
These slavers forced their children into waking up at ungodly hours, diving down in the cold waters to untangle nets that are caught in this man-made lake. Some of the children are caught in the nets and drowned. Some get their eyes poked out by branches.
And they're fishing all the time.
There's a tradition in Africa, if you're unable to care for your child, you kind of had them live with a sister or a brother, and this in many ways is a perversion of that system. So they kind of took the traditional system where you have somebody care for your relatives that you were unable to care for, to selling them.
And these slavers aren't necessarily always the villains. Sometimes they're just caught in the vicious cycle that is slavery. Sometimes they were, in fact, the slave children, and they just don't know any other life. So they turn to that life themselves.
And they can't afford to make ends meet without the free labor. Some are crueler than others, but the root cause is the cycle of poverty.
We are also part of the problem.
We are isolated in this fantasy world.
We forget about them. We've got our own life.
We have a high standard of living because food and consumer goods are so cheap. But ultimately, that means less money going into communities like those of rural Ghana.
And somebody has to pay for it.
Still, not everything is hopeless. We first learned about the problem through our friend and former high school teacher, Ed Robbins.
He thought that someone should be doing something about this.
So he did. He formed
Breaking the Chain Through Education was founded in 2006. It started as a club, and it started as a club at the high school. Students came up with the name, students came up with the motivation and worked with me. So initially it's a student club, and then it's evolved from there.
To date, the organization has raised over $200,000,
saved 30 children,
and built a school in the town of Abatejo.
There's still more we can do. That's where you and I come in.
The problem is still mostly hidden from the public consciousness, and we're trying to change that.
Please be a part of something that's greater than the American dream. Let's create a dream that the entire world can accomplish.
We urge you to learn more about breaking the chain and to give all you can to this great organization.
I just want to thank you all for coming out tonight to be part of this, and to remind you to visit our merchandise counter on the way out. Thank you so much for making this such a successful